So I'm joined today by the owner of a very impressive 40-second submission win in her Bellator debut, Maria Mouse Henderson. I really appreciate you taking time to come on. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you. I appreciate it.
Good. Not a problem at all. I've been looking to talk to you from LFA, but circumstances, they would happen, just seem to kind of circle around. I've got you now, so it's all good. So thanks for taking the time to come on.
Of course. If I have three little running children come in here, my bad.
You know what? I've had much worse. I've actually had people with their kids jumping on them.
Oh yeah. And, I mean, I actually just woke up, so they don't even know I'm awake yet. And so if they hear me, they're probably gonna run in here and jump on me.
It'll be like the element of surprise.
It will.
I've had fighters talking to me about violent fights that they've had whilst their kids in one hand and they're doing the choreography with the right hand. It's pretty surreal, but that's the life of a fighter, right?
Yeah, it is.
Awesome. So how are we doing? What have you been getting up to then since your fight?
Not much really. We took the first week off just because to spend some time with our kids. We have 4 little kids, and kind of just deciding what we're gonna do from that fight. Stay amateur, go pro. The biggest thing is right now is just gaining some weight. That fight was originally supposed to be at 115, but my opponent the day of came in 11 pounds over, so we wrote the contract and had to make circumstances so I was within 5 pounds with her, and then but even for 115 still I'm probably like 117 right now, so I just got to gain a lot of muscle, so that's the biggest plan right now.
How did it feel fighting at that weight specifically?
At one, well, I was not 125. We chugged like 3 bottles of water, and I had quite a bit on to make that weight class. So I probably walked in about 117. So it really wasn't, it was so quick that the weight didn't make a difference.
Well, as we all got to see, it certainly didn't make a difference whatsoever. So what's it like fighting at home? So you were in Arizona. Arizona is where you're based at the moment, isn't that right?
Yeah. It was good. It was fun. It was fun. It was really nice to kind of just be at home. I was really grateful to Bellator for giving me that experience. And because of COVID, they put us up in a hotel room a little bit longer because we had a quarantine. So it was really nice to kind of get that sleep in there. But it was nice. It was the same city, just different location. So it was really nice. It was really relaxing to kind of fight for Bellator, such a big event, but just still in the same city, you know?
Yeah, it was. All eyes were on that event. Now, was that the first... How can I put it? Was Arizona always the date? Was it always going to be fighting in Arizona, or were there other dates discussed as well?
For Bellator?
Yeah, for Bellator, for your Bellator debut.
No, that was it. Honestly, Mike Hogan, who's one of the VPs for Bellator, was texting my husband and was telling him about the event. And Ben, he had said that, oh man, I wish Maria was pro so she could be on this event, but we just weren't able to get her as many fights as we thought because of COVID. And he's like, well, we can get her amateur fight, no problem. So I wasn't really planning on making it a Bellator debut ever. If they wanted me to, of course I would, but it was awesome that they did. So it was never really a big plan to be Phoenix or with Bellator. I'm hoping Bellator likes it and they want to kind of keep me with them for a little bit longer.
Me too. So I was surprised, like when I was, So when I was looking into it, most of all, I was thinking amateur. I didn't realize, unless I've maybe played blind to it, I didn't know that Bellator done amateur fights on their cards. That must have been me not researching enough.
Yeah, they don't really. They said they've only ever done one before, and I'm not really sure who it was. They said they've only ever done one 115 fight before and one amateur fight before. I have no idea who the amateur fight was for, but I know the 115 fight was for Carrie Melendez. Yeah. I think her last fight for Bellator was at 115. And so it was kind of like a decent amount of first for them. I mean, not really a first, it was a second, but I'm hoping that they will. I know they have 115 fights in Europe, I think, but not necessarily here.
How many people since your fight have mentioned Melendez to you?
You know, not many.
None? I'm surprised.
Yeah, me too. I haven't really done a whole lot of interviews. I did like a handful, like in the media room. say right after the fight, and I was actually surprised they wanted me in there for that. But one of the guys who works for Bellator, his name is CJ. I think he's like, I don't really know exactly what his exact job is. I think he does kind of a little bit of everything. He's like, oh man, what? Or no, it wasn't him. He told us about Carrie, and then another interview asked us like, oh, what about Carrie Melendez versus Maria Henderson and Ben Henderson versus Gilbert Melendez? And I was like, oh, I think Bellator would love that.
Oh, they would.
Maybe it was, I don't know who it was. I don't know who the interviewer was, but one interview did ask that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking that because I did look myself, but I didn't want to ask it because I'm like, God, they'll have been asked that a million times now, just with the whole, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm surprised no one has asked. I was like, oh man, I think Bellator would love that. I definitely think I would need a bit more experience. Yeah. Carrie is a savage, and like I think she's probably pretty good on the ground too, and like pretty well rounded. Carrie's been doing everything for a long time, but I know her striking is where I think her main focus is, and so I would just need to kind of tune up a little bit. But maybe in a year or two,
it's something to work towards, isn't it? You know, so we never know. We might see it now. LFA is where you fought previously. Was there a big difference in terms of the scale and the kind of feeling inside, being at two different organisations? We know that Bellator is much bigger in terms of reputation. Was there a big difference that you saw?
For actual organizations?
Yeah, just like, so you fought for LFA, Bellator. We know that both organisations have got their own kind of popularity in the world, if you will, but was there a big difference that you noticed from competing at a lower tier organization to Bellator?
Yeah, I'd say so. It was a little bit different. LFA, it was still really everything was still pretty shut down, so everything was kind of small, you know, and we only went out like the smaller organizations can't really afford to bring you out much sooner because that's all those hotel rooms. But so that was probably the biggest difference, but it was ran super well. Everyone was super friendly. The smaller organizations really nice because they're like families, like all the people, you know. So and as far as staff wise, it kind of just seemed like a family, like Bellator, but it was all ran really well. Everything was really similar. The weigh-ins were definitely much smaller and not as big of a deal. As far as media and stuff, that was obviously not quite as big a deal. I had a handful of interviews before the fight, and then I did the whole media day with my husband, which I was really surprised at. But they had me there doing all the interviews with him. So that was the media part, and then like stage wise was much significantly bigger, but staff wise still the same.
Awesome.
And it was LFA 100, so they were making a big deal about that too.
No, of course. Now, seeing yourself and your husband there together, was that always the plan? Did they put you together just to kind of have you both in a kind of comfort zone, or was that something that you wanted yourselves?
We probably kind of wanted it at least once ourselves. Now that we have it once, I don't know if we'll do it again just because it's really hard with the kids, you know, and Phoenix is just the best way to do it because we literally fought 4 hours later, we drove home, you know what I mean? So that was nice. We have 4 little kids, so coming home afterwards was nice. And it's kind of hard to both be fighting at the same time. I would like to fight for Bellator a little bit more. I really love the people with Bellator. But the UFC would be cool. Bellator would be cool. I don't really want to go to one, but it was kind of always the idea to kind of fight together and at least once. Yeah. Bellator didn't, I think they liked the idea, like if they were going to have an amateur fight, what better way to do it than with my husband? I got like quite a bit of coverage because he was on the card too. So I think it probably played out really well for Bellator.
That's just the circumstances. Everybody knows who Benson is, you know. Utter legend of the sport. He's fought everybody, a who's who. He's been a champion, you know. So, of course, there's going to be circumstances where you're getting far more eyes on you. But now it's time for yourself to be able to step into that light as well. Yeah. There's not just one Henderson who fights in MMA. We've got another one there. So that's awesome. So 2 weekends ago, you fought on your biggest stage. Sorry, I think there was a signal issue there. Did you see that?
So what?
Yeah, sorry, I think it just cut off there. Did you get that there?
Yeah, I did get it.
Yeah, that's all right. I'll edit it anyway. It's all good. So 2 weekends ago, you fought Bellator 268. Now, have you got any post-fight blues going on? Like you sitting there, you want itching to get back in again very soon?
Always, 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 always. I wanted to do it right away. I wanted to jump back around in practices, but it's been a little bit slower than I'd like, just because with
Yeah.
kids and stuff. And then this week was Halloween, and then getting the kids costumes and trunk or treat at our gym. But I would love to get back in there. But our coach, my husband, and then my mitt coach, David Machad, who I kind of think like is a head coach, he's the one who really helped me with this fight with my wrestling and my ground, or not my wrestling and my hands. They both all want me to put on a decent amount of weight. So they want me to wait at least 6 weeks to put on some weight.
Yeah.
Muscle.
Time to do that. Yeah, no, for sure. Now, just talking about working on your hands. So in this fight, of course, we never got a lot of time to analyze much because you dominated it and got it out there very quick.
But still, the first like 5 seconds, I've overanalyzed like 16 times. I'm like, guys, both first fights, I got punched right off my first punch. Both fights, I got hit. And that one was, this last one was, I just pumped my jab. I didn't actually throw it. Mm-hmm. And then so right as I was throwing the calf kick that we'd worked literally all camp long from a jab, but just didn't throw the jab. As I'm doing it, she hits me and then I fall. I'm like, oh God, that looks terrible.
I thought you slipped.
Well, it was like I was twisting on my foot. So I was on my toes. And because I could throw my jab, my head wasn't offline. So it was right in the middle. So it was kind of like on my toes and then like leaning backwards. And then she was able to just kind of push at the same time. So it didn't land super hard or anything, but it did land. So it was like she encouraged my kick encouraged the fall, I think.
Yeah, no. Well, that's it. Now, no disrespect to your opponent, right? But was that perhaps, you go into a fight, you've got plans, you really don't know. You've got a game plan until it gets hit, until you get hit, as the saying goes. Now, was that easier than you anticipated in the sense that I can't believe I've just got in here, 40 seconds later it's done, because you probably build up such a big, I don't know if you get nervous, but you build up this big thing in your head prior to the fight. Were you surprised at how easy you kind of got in and out there?
Yes and no. We kind of thought she was going to come in overweight. I didn't necessarily think, I thought maybe there would be a little bit more, but I literally envisioned that takedown with her. Mm-hmm. I envisioned her either falling with that calf kick or that takedown, maybe that takedown a little bit later. But I envisioned kind of me submitting her from that body lock, or me kicking her calf out and her falling. So if I were to finish it quick, it would be from that calf kick and her falling from that calf kick, just from being super surprised. So I did envision that, but I didn't necessarily I didn't think if I got that body lock, she would go for that headlock. But I know in women's MMA, for some reason, that women do that a lot. Yeah. So it was kind of nice. I didn't envision it. I was kind of surprised she didn't jump on top of me when I fell. But I think just from because everyone said she was a wrestler, so we were anticipating her being very aggressive towards me, trying to get to the ground, like against the cage maybe. But I think maybe she didn't want to go to the ground at all, especially with that size difference. She was probably like, okay, if I stay on my feet, there's no way she's going to take me down. You know what I mean? So maybe she didn't want to go to the ground just because I'm more of an experienced grappler. But it was like, I guess, yes and no, I expected that. Obviously, yes, you always expect you want the best, but you will expect the worst. And as far as nerves go, I've been working with, Mindset Mike. Have you ever heard of him?
Yeah. Gradually, yeah.
So I worked with him a little bit, and I think I was a little bit nervous about being overpowered a little bit, just from the size discrepancy. And then we did something the night before, and he was right. We have a few girls on our team. He's like, when has a girl ever overpowered you in the gym? When has this ever happened? I was like, you're right. That really never happened to me in the gym with another female. So as far as nerves go, the day of, they were basically gone. I didn't really have any nerves. And I think that let me compete to the full ability, just being grateful to be there and stuff like that. And because it's an amateur, there was really there's nothing to lose. You know what I mean? So I was able to go out there and compete very well.
Well, Mindset Mike worked because you didn't look nervous at all.
Yeah, I wasn't. I was like, all right, I'm looking around the cage and I'm like, okay, this is a big cage. There's a lot of people here. When are these nerves going to come? And they just never came. So it's pretty awesome.
Awesome. So talking about critics, now we know that critics come into everything. Now, what did hubby think of the fight overall?
I think he thought the same thing, really. It was like he was really upset about her missing weight. Like he was angry because we couldn't leave. They gave her an extra hour to cut that weight, and she only cut like a little bit more. And he was angry she missed weight, and I couldn't leave. So he didn't leave, and he stayed, put those on. He stayed right there with me. So it kind of messed with him rehydrating a little bit too. And like, so that made him cranky. So as she's, hey, say hello. As she's making weight, weighing on the scale, he's just like stuck down staring at her. And I was like, oh, I feel so bad. That's a scary man. But we both thought the same thing. It really wasn't long enough to overanalyze, to break down, to kind of see where I need to work on. I think my biggest thing I need to work on is that first punch. And then, but he thought everything else was great. Like the takedown was super, like it actually was a very technical takedown. She didn't just fall, you know, it was my steps making her fall. The arm off the head, that was all super technical, not throwing in the hook too soon, not getting too high, punching to the rear naked, you know, not just going straight to it, but making sure I can get it before I go to, because I'm doing an interview. He's talking about my fight. And so like, he liked it. He was happy. Yeah. He said it couldn't have gone better. So
I agree. Now, we know that unfortunately for Benson's fight, it never went Benson's way. Now, did you notice anything in his demeanor? So we know that a fight's a fight. He's been in and out of the cage for a long time. Did you notice, despite his result, his demeanor was perhaps better than it would be if he lost before because of the success that you had?
No, Ben's always pretty humble in his loss. He doesn't make any excuses. I think he was pretty upset. Like, I think maybe 0.5 time, like 9.5 out of 10, Ben beats Primus. Like, I don't think Primus is anywhere near the same class as my husband. And that's no disrespect to Primus. I just obviously think very highly of my husband.
Yeah.
Primus is he's a super nice guy and everything. Yeah. But I think like that was just a weird night for Ben. But no, I don't think because of me, win or lose, it was any different for him. Obviously he's happy that I won, but Ben and I both know that going into the fight, he has his job and I have my job. And it doesn't really, we want to, okay, thank you, sweetie. We don't want it to affect each other. So I don't think me winning made him any more happier after when he was pretty upset after it. So.
Mm-hmm. And you yourself, like you said, before you even got into the cage, you've been at a lot of Benson's fights, a lot of camps and all that. So perhaps being more familiar probably will already answer my next question. Do you feel any pressure being the wife of Benson Henderson going into a big fight? Because like we says, we know, I don't want to name drop, but he's fought everybody and he's world renowned and everybody knows who he is. Did you feel any pressure? Surely just a bit.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you don't go, I'm married to one of the greatest lightweights ever. Yeah. So of course there's some pressure. I know there's like some girls coming in from jiu-jitsu and they're really good. And like a few girls who fight for LFA and they're black belt world champions and they don't, and more followers on Instagram. I know people really put a big stock behind that. But they didn't get anywhere near the same coverage. You know what I mean? Like I was on as an amateur, some of the biggest MMA social media sites out there after an amateur win, you know what I mean? So of course I feel pressure. I obviously want to be great and everyone assumes because of my husband that I've been doing it forever. I've been striking forever. And that's not really the case, you know? So of course I feel pressure. I obviously want to be as great as my husband is. I want to do as good. I'm not really doing it for like, attention or necessarily even the money because my husband did well. So we live very comfortably. We're blessed that way. So I just want to be I want to be the best like him. So of course there is some pressure.
Have you thought about, so you're talking about amateur, have you thought about pro? Like, is that something that, I mean, you'll be on a high just from the win, but surely you're not going to stay down and kind of think about what it would be like. I'm sure you've probably got some fire in your belly to go up and go pro, surely.
Yeah, I would really love to. We're still kind of I'm waiting for kind of see what my husband says. Our coach wants me to have one more amateur fight, like a pretty hard one. But my first fight was actually pretty good brawl. Like we did not expect that girl to be that technical, and she was very technical on her.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah, that shocked us. This one was a little quicker. And then my husband was like, honestly, that's what you want for amateur. You want one tough fight, and then you went in there like, you've had the best circumstances you could have as an amateur career,
Yeah.
And then my striking coach, Dave Machado, is like, well, the more you put your hands and your wrestling together, the easier the fights are going to get, especially at amateur. So I don't know if we're going to have another really tough amateur fight. I don't know if it'll be hard to get another amateur fight or not, just because of Ben's name. It's a little bit more difficult, But I would love to go pro. It's just kind of at pro. I think my coach and my husband want me to put, like, again, I know it's the same answer, it's a very boring answer, but they just want me to put on more weight. I'd love to go pro though. I think off of this win, off of this coverage, this would be the time to go pro.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Unless Bellator wants to give me another amateur fight, I don't really see where I'd be fighting amateur again.
So just on that then, so if you were to go pro, which I feel just by analysis, I feel like it's very likely. So if you're going pro, you're going to get the haters. As again, Benson Henderson's wife, she's had fights. You're accomplished on the ground. Are you planning on taking this? I'm not talking just a couple of fights. I'm meaning like serious consideration, belts, the whole right to the top.
Yeah.
Awesome.
This sport is way too hard to kind of play around with. People keep asking me that, and I'm like, why would you think I would just get punched in the face temporarily? Why would I do that? And I have little kids, and it's taking time away from my kids, so I'm not doing it just for a hobby. I would like to be very successful at this. Yeah. So yeah, I'm planning to go above and beyond the average person in this sport.
You're doing all the right moves to do it now. Did Scott Coker have a word with you? Did he chat to you after the fight?
No, actually, I didn't see Scott at all this weekend. I saw Mike Kogan a little bit. Like I said, he's a VP. But no, I didn't see Scott. Like I said, Scott's busy, and he's a good guy, he just kind of lets the fighters do their thing. He doesn't need to get pictures with them or anything like that. Yeah. He respects the fighters a lot. Like, I don't think he does. Find a promoter who really respects their fighters more than Scott does. And he's just a quiet guy. So no, I didn't see him after this fight. It would have been cool. It would have been nice to kind of see what he was thinking, but no, I didn't see him.
Well, I'm pretty sure there's going to be more opportunities. Now, realistically, you're talking about putting weight on and having a break. When would you like to get back in there?
I don't know. Maybe a month or two, if I can put on a decent amount more muscle. Like, from my last fight to this fight, I was able to actually get into some better shape. My last fight, I was 6 months postpartum. So I wasn't able to do actually very much for that camp. A lot of people asked me, why didn't I go to the ground? I was like, honestly, I couldn't really even do jiu-jitsu yet because I was still in so much pain from having a baby. But now I can move a lot better. And I was working with a therapist, and I still have a little bit more stuff to kind of work on with her. And so I think if we had another 2 months, you would still see a huge growth difference from my first fight to this fight to another fight. So maybe in like 2 or 3 months, I would like to have another one.
Yeah, without a doubt. And nothing at the moment, no Bellator reach outs, but perhaps something that we might just see out of nowhere, a social media post just explaining the future. Yeah, they haven't reached out yet, but hopefully soon. Hopefully there is some post to make soon.
Yeah,
without a doubt. Now, I couldn't help but notice on social media, you've got some really cool Team Henderson shirts.
Oh, yeah.
Nice light blue. Where can people get them? Have you got them on sale?
They're at our gym, and I don't know if we still sell them online or not, but they are at our gym. I know they'll send them out and stuff, so if they just call the MMA lab, they can get them there. They got stickers now, too.
Oh, did they? There we go. Yeah, we need to get some of them. It's very cool. It's very cool.
Yeah, it was exciting, and the shirts are cool. They actually did really well at our gym, so we're going to make a handful more.
Before we go, I just want to ask, so next time we see you in the cage, we will see you in the cage again. Yes. What could we expect that's different from the last fight, given the performance you had?
I don't know. Hopefully more punches, probably more technical punches. She kind of rushed at me, so I don't know if another girl will rush at me the same. So hopefully you'll see more technical striking. Maybe you'll see a little bit more of power with my hands and stuff. Maybe, hopefully. Striking. You'll see more striking.
Yeah, and we got to see some of that in LFA 100. We got to see you standing up far more than perhaps you were used to.
Yeah, and hopefully you don't see me standing up that much, but hopefully it's a little bit of striking and straight to the ground again.
Awesome. Where could fans and followers follow you on the journey? What's your desired social media?
Let me tell you, because my sister changed my name on my Instagram. I don't know what it is. Hold on, sorry. It is Maria.Henderson MMA. So that's my Instagram, and then Maria Henderson on Facebook.
No Twitter?
I don't know what it is. I think it's Maria Mouse 118 on Twitter.
Yeah, I was about to say, every MMA fighter, it's a very rare breed who've got Twitter. Twitter just seems to be left out a little bit.
I hate social media, to be honest with you. So I think I don't have it much.
Me too. It's just part of the deal, though. But I really appreciate you taking time to come on.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Great to talk to you. And I think we'll hear some news sooner or later. And I'll be hitting you up prior to, just to try and get a little hint of a bit of news, a bit of fight news.
Great. Hopefully there is some news pretty soon. And I'll look forward to talking to you again.
Without a doubt. No problem. You take it easy.
Thank you. Have a nice day.
You too.